record this. Okay, so welcome, everyone, all two of you. I'm doing something a little different this week in terms of the format. So I'm recording on the side because I want to like encourage people to like interact and just participate. And I don't know about you, but when I know like the thing is being recorded, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not asking any questions. Like, forget it, right? So you're not going to be on camera. The other camera might hear your voice at the most, but that I'm going to upload the other thing, so you're all good. So yeah. So today, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll
I'm
talk.
sorry.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. You have to understand that I'm not American, so I don't speak English very well. So that's the reason why I don't ask questions.
Okay, no, it's all good. Yeah, you're perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't. A lot of languages I don't speak, so it's all good.
Okay, so you
Yes,
know.
yes. Hope you enjoy. So, yeah. So this week, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll talk about two things: Hanukkah and Gilui Arayot, which means um, forbidden relationships. Um, I think we'll just get into that first. So what does that mean? Forbidden relationships. Well, like easy, you could think like, oh well, adultery is like cheating on your wife, cheating on your husband. Like that's pretty easy. But it's more nuanced than that. And the reason I wanted to bring this up now, not just because it's a classic segue from Avodah Zarah, but it also comes up in this week's parsha. So this parsha is Vayeshev, and this week we learn about the event. And I don't know how familiar y'all are with the Tanakh or like the stories, but basically, after Yosef gets sold into slavery, he goes to Egypt, and the person that buys him is this man named Potiphar. And Potiphar is like very wealthy, a very affluent guy, and because Yosef is blessed, he's like a holy man. Like pretty much everything he touches turns to gold, so to speak. It doesn't say that, but I'm saying that. And so Potiphar ends up really like benefiting a lot from having Yosef as a slave or like a servant, because like all of his assets kind of became inflated. Like his crops grew more, and he made more money, and he like was doing better in business and all this stuff. So he really took a liking to Yosef, and because of that, he basically made him like the master of the house, pretty much, like only second to himself, right? And we'll see that theme play out again when he becomes second to Pharaoh. And then as soon enough, it's like Pharaoh is just kind of like a figurehead, and it's really Yosef like making all the decisions. That's kind of what this is like. Is Yosef is essentially in charge of the house, and like anything he wants, he can have except his wife, right? So that's that's the scene. So his wife, not the biggest Ashes Chayil in the whole world, to say the least. So, Yosef is, according to the tradition, he's a very handsome guy, and so it's no wonder that that Potiphar's wife wanted to make a move on him. So she did, right? And she keeps like pining, like she keeps trying to get him to sleep with her, and this is like what he responds, and his response is, let me backtrack here. What does this have to do with you? What does this have to do with Noahide laws? Because in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud in the Masechet of Sanhedrin, gives you like a list of the Noahide laws, like what you can and can't do. Like if you wanted to look anywhere for Noahide laws, you'd look in Masechet Sanhedrin, right? Well, such a list doesn't actually occur in the Torah. Like these laws are darshaned, like they're, what do you call it? Like they're like the rabbis, they read into the Torah and they're like, this is where you find these laws, right? But they're not in a list. It's not like the 10 Commandments, you know what I mean? It's not like Noach was like, here's the 7 mitzvahs, b'nai. Not like, you have to kind of like piece them together. And here in this parsha, this is one of those times where you find where the Gemara, where the Talmud actually brings a source. So when Potiphar's wife is trying to get him to sleep with her over and over again, this is what he says in English. He says, Rivka, yes, I am recording on the side. It'll be on thing. The reason I'm not doing it on the Zoom is because I want to encourage people to like participate and ask questions and like whatever. So yeah, that's it. So talking about like, when did you get here? You heard I was talking about Potiphar's wife and everything. Okay, fine. So Potiphar is trying to get Yosef to sleep with her and everything. And this is what he says. He says, "Behold, with me my master knows nothing about anything in the house, and all that he has given into my hand. In this house there is no one greater than I, and he has not withheld anything from me except you, insofar as you are his wife. Now, how can I commit this great evil and sin against God?" And Rashi says that where it says in sin against God, what he's really saying is that it's also a sin for Potiphar's wife. And that's what the Gemara says. Like, even the sons of Noah were commanded against such immorality. So here we learn a Noahide law. We learn that this kind of behavior is not permissible. Now, this is obvious. Like, I mean, I don't have to tell you that. Like, like we kind of take this for granted. But here's the nuance, and the nuance really comes out like as the story goes on, and you really like start to realize how messed up this lady is. Like, she's out till lunch. So it says, so she would even try to like be with him, like not to like do anything, not to like have relations, but just to like be next to him, right? Like be in like touching, right? And Rashi says crazy thing. It says, now it came about when she spoke to Yosef day in and day out, meaning like going like again and pining, that he did not obey her to lie beside her and to be with her. Rashi says to lie beside her means like what I just said, like without relations. And to be with her, well, I did say two things. Rashi says, in the world to come. I don't know what that means. I'm just telling you. That's what the Midrash says. I don't know. We have to figure that out. But, so, basically what happens is, there's, the Torah says on a certain day, and it just says, Vayehi kechayom hazeh, which means on a certain day. But that means like a religious festival. So there was like, I think it's so funny, the timing, like this is ridiculous. The timing is ridiculous that, all the like holidays are going on, the legal holidays as we say, and federal holidays. And so it says, Rashi says that it is a religious festival. Like there was something going on, like a holiday. And so everyone was going to the temple to worship their idols. And so Eshet Potiphar was like, oh, it's perfect. Like everyone's going to be gone. This is like the perfect time for me to like make a move on Yosef, right? And there was like there was a disagreement between Rav and Shmuel in the Gemara in the Talmud, that when it was talking about, when it says it came about on a certain day that he came to the house to do his work, when it said that Yosef came to the house to do his work, it was a machloket. One says that it means like literally to do his servitude, like to do whatever he does at his house. Another interpretation is like he actually went to like sleep with Eshet Potiphar, like he was gonna give in, but the image of his father appeared. Like imagine that, like you're just and then like you see your dad, you're like, whoa, like I don't know. And so this is when she grabs him by the tzitzis, and she's like, lie with me, and he like runs, because if you ever seen like a pair of tzitzis, like it's literally just like a poncho, right? So you just pull it over your head. You can even like take, like with a shirt on, you could just take it out of your shirt, right? So if you can imagine that, it's just like hanging off him, right? So she grabs that, and he's able to run away. So what does she do? Obviously, like what else would she do? She runs outside. She's like, hey, like this Hebrew slave came to violate me, and look, he left his garment, and like she's like, whatever. And so afterward, like this whole commotion's going on. So obviously Potiphar finds out. And so Potiphar comes home, and she's like, this Hebrew slave that you bought, like he came to, mock me, or, sleep with me or violate me, and it's only because I was yelling and screaming that he left. Like if I would not have screamed out, then he would have like been successful. Now this is insane. This is insane Rashi right here. So it says, the pasuk says, now it came about when his master heard his wife's report that she spoke to him, saying, your slave did such things to me. What does Rashi say? Rashi says, what does it mean, like such things? It means during when the Eshet Potiphar and Potiphar were together, when they were having relations, she would be like, he was doing this, like, like this is like insane. Like, what is she on? Like, what is going through her head right now? So why am I going so deep? Because Gilui Arayot is not as simple as just cheating on, don't cheat on it, please, like, don't cheat on your spouse, like, obviously, but like it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that, because really, like, this Rashi just sheds light on her mentality, like where her head's at, where her soul is at, like where her heart is at. Like she doesn't care. Like this is an entire like power trip for her, right? So this has much more to do than just like don't do that, right? Like what the Torah is trying to tell us, like, or trying to tell Noahites, like B'nai Noach, is like the behavior of sexual immorality is all but a symptom of a deeper rooted problem that is very apparent, not when Eshet Potiphar is being is like having relations with someone else. No, she's having relations with her husband, but look at what she's telling him, like in the middle of it. Like, what? Like, who would stand for that? Like this is insane. So yeah, okay, this is like when he, ends up going to prison. This is whatever, and then the whole thing, right? So yeah, I just wanted to bring that because I think it really highlights why Gilui Arayot is like such a problem. Like it's obvious, like there's an obvious thing, there's an obvious level, but we have to remember, like, we grew up in America, we grew up with Western culture, Western ideas, so we take this for granted, like being disloyal or infidelity. Like we take for granted that it's a bad thing, and you hear people say, well, I don't need the Torah to tell me to be a good person. It's like, well, yeah, because you were born in the 21st century, and like you have certain like 21st century values. But hey, like, rewind like not too long ago, okay, like pick a civilization, like even Western civilization was doing unthinkable things even 100 years ago, like modern psychology, the advent of modern psychology, like anything but modern, okay, like most like arcane type stuff was going on in the hospitals, okay, so it's not so easy to say, oh, like obviously, like, don't cheat on anyone. What does it mean? What does infidelity mean? What does this all say about your mind and how you think about yourself and how you relate to human beings and relate to God? What it means is like when you're engaging in these kinds of behaviors, or rather, like this mindset. Like when you engage in this mindset, like you're putting yourself before, like essentially God, is what's happening. So
Can
that's
I ask you a question?
yeah. Go ahead, please.
Is there any kind that you've come across of like opinion or commentary that maybe Potiphar, knowing his wife did not really believe her, and but just went along with what she was saying for whatever reason?
I mean, I want to say I don't want to say anything's impossible, but because he put him in prison, um, I think like I mean he believed her,
Okay.
this is like imagine it's like imagine like I don't know like you know I,
It sounds like she had some issues, right? There was definitely some perverse stuff going on there.
absolute that is my point
Yeah.
here. That's the point I want to drive home is like it this is the most beautiful like example of this because she actually didn't commit adultery, okay? Like she actually didn't do the thing, but she was about to, and Yosef had to tell her like, no, that's against the Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach. Like you can't do that. Like of course Yosef, like the son of Jacob, is not gonna do that. Like that's obvious, but it's not so obvious that this Egyptian person will get it. So that's why he has to say that. Um, Also consider how like what kind of ranking Yosef had in Potiphar's house. Like he was the head, like de facto head of household, for all things except like his wife. So like this is his right hand man. Like he wouldn't throw him in jail for no reason, or like this is also someone that he might give the benefit of the doubt to. Like he might be like, you know what? No, I don't trust you. Like Yosef would never do that. But no, he's like, you know what? You're right. Send him to prison, right? And after that, it gets very deep. Why did he go to prison? He didn't do anything wrong, and that's how he knew it was meant to be. It's hashgacha pratit, and well, right. And then afterwards, spoiler alert. He meets up with the shvatim, the brothers again, his brothers, and they're like, "Oh no, like we're so sorry we sold you." And he's like, "No, no, no, you didn't sell me anywhere. Like God sent me here to save you." So, yeah, so that goes boom. But yeah, so what does this have to do with Hanukkah? I don't know if it has anything like necessarily directly to do with Hanukkah, but something that Hanukkah can teach a Noahide, really, or really anyone, Jew or Noahide alike, is to remind you that Hashem will see your efforts. Okay, like if you don't know, if anyone is not familiar, the menorah could have been lit with impure oil, and it would have been perfectly fine, and they would have fulfilled the mitzvah just fine. Like that's not even like there's a concept in halacha where you do things like the right way the first time, and then if you don't do it, if it just so happens like it didn't work out, then after the fact you can do it like this way, right? Well, this wasn't even that. Like they would have been fine, like right out of the gate, right? But no, like they wanted to find pure oil because there is a concept that when you begin something, it the way you start something defines the way like it goes for the rest of the duration of that thing. So when they're dedicating the temple, they're like, no, we're gonna do it in the highest way possible. And in the context, like that's coming right after this like miraculous military victory, and then the menorah is like gift wrapping, to use a analogy that I learned once in a book by Rabbi Daniel Gladstein. Look him up on YouTube. Amazing shiurim. But he explains that the menorah, like the military victory was like a gift, right? Delivering the Greeks into their hands was the gift, but the menorah was the wrapping paper and the bow, right? And the way Rabbi Gladstein explains it is like, yeah, you would give someone a gift because you love them or you care about them, you want to give them a gift, but you wouldn't just give it to them. Like, no, 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 you're gonna wrap it, you're gonna put some intention, and what does that say? It means like not only was I thinking about you, but like I really want you to know that I put time and effort into this, and that's kind of what like Hashem was showing the Jewish people at the time is like, I see you, like I see what you're doing here, and I'm gonna acknowledge it, and because you decided to go above and beyond, and you wanted to connect with me in the best way possible, then I'm gonna like return the favor, right? And I think that the same thing could be said for Noahides, right? And I really wanted to bring this this week because I know that the holiday seasons can be stressful, especially those with Christian family members, me. So it's like, what do, right? Like for me, it's easy. I'm like, sorry, like I'm trying to be Jewish, like bye, But right, if you're not, right, like how do you explain, right? But just know that even if you think, like you're going into this, to use it as a metaphor, you're going into the temple, and you just have to light the menorah. You're like, listen, I have obligations. I need to take care of this. And you're like, well, maybe I can weasel my way around here or whatever, and then I'll be fine. But just know that if Hashem will see your efforts. Like don't give up too easy. Like if you can manage to avoid certain things, or maybe this is the case. Maybe you have a certain idea of how like your holiday experience you want your holiday experience to be. Try, like, really put in all your effort and try to make it as holy as possible. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to stick to your guns. Reject those invitations to those kratzmach parties. Like if like Hashem will see you. Like don't think for a second like Hashem won't see that. Don't think for a second that it will go unnoticed, or that it's for nothing, or don't think like, oh well, what are they gonna think of me? Like, who cares? Like Hashem, like like only God can judge you. It's such a stereotypical thing. It's true. Like when you after 120, you ain't gonna be answering to them. Okay, so like you don't have to pay mind to like what other people like think about you. At least not in this respect. And if they feel weird about it, all they should feel weird about is that they're not keeping mitzvahs. Like you're trying to do mitzvahs here. So like you have nothing to be ashamed of, for sure. And that too can be said about the Hashmonayim in the temple. They wanted to do things the Mahadran way. Mahadran has a root word, Hadar, and Hadar means like beautiful. So like you beautify the mitzvah, and even a Noachide can do this. Like you can really be an outspoken, I guess not outspoken, but like a confident Noachide. Like you're confident in what you're doing, and you're like, no, I'm not part of this culture anymore. I'm not part of this Hellenistic culture anymore. Because even though many of you on here are not Jewish, that doesn't take away from the fact that Greek culture, Roman culture, which we still live in today, like this culture affects you as well, and it can get in the way of your relationship with Hashem just as much as it can affect a Jew, for sure. Like it has like the same, toxic effect where it could possibly get in the way of like what you're trying to do. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. We still have like 7 more minutes on the timed Zoom. If anyone has any questions, comments, complaints, grievances. Not everyone all at once.
So if I may, I found that interesting what you said. It's like, okay, just because you're not Jewish, it doesn't mean anything goes, right? There's still some value to trying to do the right thing, and that's helpful to hear. That's encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's I mean honest. Like this is something I told myself, coming along, the track. And there was a lot of times when there would be that thought that popped in my head, like, oh well, I'm not really Jewish, so it's like, no, like, like, no, like, you can't just be
and
like...
that's a statement that I hear said to me a lot in my own home. Like, what are you doing? So it's an issue, a question that you can easily question yourself on.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And always remember, like the Jewish people do not have a monopoly on God. Okay, like God has monopoly on the Jewish people. Like it's like a one-way street, man. Like we don't tell him what to do at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's your right as a creation of Hashem, like as a human being. It's your right to have that relationship with Hashem, and just because it's different than that of a Jew doesn't mean it's any less valuable. It's just different. It's just a different avoda. It's just a different kind of thing, right? Like some people are born to be doctors. Some people are born to be trash collectors. Like I don't like it says nothing about like your value or anything, or that you should or should not be pursuing spiritual things. So yeah, I hope that continues to be encouraging for you.
Mm.
All right. Anything else? Going once, going twice.
You were amazing, and it was such a pleasure being in your class. So keep going.
Shkoyach. Yeah, Shkoyach. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I hope everyone has an amazing Chanukah. Get with your local Jewish community. Now, as I was telling Adam before, I almost forgot to say. Now is the perfect time if you're not Jewish and you want to get involved into a community. Now is the time to do it, because a lot of synagogues, communities, like they'll have public events. So you could literally just walk in, like, because it's public, right? You just have to maybe sign up or something. But now's the time, because once you start getting familiar with the people there, right? You meet the rabbi, you meet the families. They might start inviting you for things. Okay, like they might start inviting you for like Shabbos or anything like that, and that's really how you get involved, and it works both ways, because even though you're in a better environment, you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are invested in your growth. You know, just as a concept, like not that they're really investing in your growth, but just the Jewish mentality is like, yeah, we want the nations of the world to ultimately come to revere and worship Hashem, you know, and that's it. Like we would benefit, everyone, the whole world would benefit from Avodah Zarah just like completely going away, right? That's pretty clear. So it's nice to see like non-Jews like be interested, like just for the sake of that, not because like they're even trying to convert or anything, right? So but it'll take time, of course. Like you have to like warm up to them, they have to warm up to you, and and then you'll really be in a spot that's like mutually beneficial, because you'll be learning, right? You'll be learning a lot, and you'll be benefiting just from being there. But also the Jewish people have a mitzvah of being a light to the nations, right? So, and that's why I named this class light for the nations, because the term in Hebrew is actually or legoyim, and the prefix lamed, like the legoyim, means it could mean like to the nations, but for me, like I found that to be a little bit too like too close for comfort, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not doing to anything, like we're just here, you know, you can listen or not, you know, like we're not we're not trying to speak to you, but this light, you know, that we're sharing, that we want to share with the world, it's for you, which is, you could say that is the prefix lamed as well, as like the light for the nations. It's not for us. Like we don't really like that mitzvah is not for us. It's for you, you know. We like, that's part of our job. That's part of our job as Jewish people, is to pretty much act as like a role model for society, and like all other societies will look to us and be like, oh, like that's like what we should do, you know, or like keep the Noahide laws or whatever. And then when Mashiach comes, may it be immediately, when Mashiach comes, there will be a concept of the Ger Toshav. Like we don't have this now, and like that's a whole other like 3 hours here. But there's a concept of Ger Toshav in the times of the temple, that it's a non-Jew who lives in Israel, who keeps the Noahide laws, right? And because of that, he's allowed to be there. So we should all have a great Hanukkah. The Zoom meeting is about to end. So I just want to, wish everyone a good Shabbos, good Hanukkah. And I'll see y'all next week. B'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you.
B'simcha.
Thank you, Ari.
B'simcha. Happy
Thank you.
Hanukkah. B'simcha.